we'll get started. I am new to the plasma area here. That's why I asked Bryan. Bryan is one of our Adendo advisors, which I'll talk about in a minute. He's actually our expert here that we use to consult with folks like you that are either interested in or maybe have some issues with their machines or whatever, and to kind of help you learn a little bit about it, but also an expert with using EnRoute for fabrication and so forth. So he's got a nice little shop saver table. Obviously, that's kind of a specialty type of operation, takes a little space and everything, but it's a nice capability to be able to create some interesting artwork. In fact, in that little video, you saw some of that artwork that he's created, which is kind of cool. So our goal today actually is to simply talk to him a little bit, kind of find out why he's using EnRoute and how he uses it. Maybe take a look at a few of his designs, and then talk about how we can help you with some of this as well. So that's going to be, I think, something that will help quite a bit. So to begin with, just a little bit about Bryan. Bryan, maybe you see Bryan up there on the top left-hand side. Maybe tell us a little about yourself and some of your experience.
Sure. So I worked in the power industry for 35 years, and our plant closed down. And, you know, I thought about, I had a shop, a small shop at my house. I had thought about a plasma table before. And so I got started, and I bought the Shop Saver table. It was delivered in January of 2018. I had some computer skills, but I had not, done a lot of AutoCAD type stuff. I bought EnRoute and VCarve software with the machine, and I quickly learned that EnRoute, at least for the plasma part of it, was the software that suited me best. I started from ground zero, just like most of you guys would. EnRoute was easy to learn. I still learn some new things occasionally, but after 6 years, it's been a good tool for me. I have cut a million pieces of plate. I go back and look at my website and the pictures that I saved, and it's really amazing to me how many parts, how many gates, how many signs, how much metal art I was able to do, these last 6 years.
Yeah. Well, that's partly why everyone that we went to Bryan as one of our Adendo experts, because our Adendo advisors, and these are folks that basically can help you with some of design or using EnRoute and so forth. What's nice about it is they're working people. They're in the industry, and they've made the mistakes, right? I guess, Bryan, and figured out what works and what doesn't. And
exactly.
So they kind of know where to go with things, which is great. So you did talk a little bit about choosing EnRoute. What do you have, like a favorite feature or something that you use a lot or something?
Yeah, when I'm teaching new folks all about EnRoute, one of the things that we look at a whole bunch is vectorizing, and that's taking a good clean silhouette off the web. Sometimes I'll take a picture and create my own silhouettes, but in EnRoute you can vectorize that image into a file that can be edited and then later create a cut path to send to your machine. My two, I think, most important tools are snaps and the guidelines. And, we spend some time, if you're drawing your own stuff, EnRoute really has the tools to make that easy.
Well, I happen to kind of be thinking about that a little bit, and I went out to the internet, and I stole a design here. I highly advise everybody not to do this, but but I just wanted to show it. I just typed in the word sun, and I found this nice little image that was out on the internet here. And what I just did was I actually brought it into EnRoute here. And if you guys look at this, a couple of things I like about EnRoute is I'm just scrolling my mouse to zoom in and out, which is kind of makes it easy to see things. And you can kind of see this is not the greatest artwork. It's got the, like whatever wall behind it. It was obviously a sales tool. But as was mentioned by Bryan, and EnRoute, you can take artwork like this, and it's pretty easy to convert that into paths. I can go up here to the vectorizing tools, and we got a bunch of different choices, and I'm sure you found, Bryan, that sometimes one choice is better than the other.
Absolutely.
I use this Bezier one here because it's pretty much works all the time, but some of these other ones have some tools in it that allow the path to be cleaned up automatically. There's even an auto cleanup tool here. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bryan, but I know we don't want a bunch of points in a piece of artwork. We want to make as clean a smooth curve as we can. Is that right?
Yeah, a lot of times when you find an image like that and you vectorize that, what I personally recommend is not cleaning it up until later, because when we do it later, I can see actually how many of those nodes or points that are eliminated. But I can tell you this, and I learned the hard way, the more nodes and points you have, the harder your machine's working, because it's going to go from point to point to point. And you know, most of the time you don't need that many points. So yeah, you can clean here, or there's another tool that we can clean up the vectorized image later.
Well, let me take this, and I just want to show everybody, even though it has that background and so forth, part of the power behind EnRoute is this vectorizing. I don't know if all of you know a lot about SA International, but they also make a product called Flexi for the sign industry, and they've had this vectorizing capabilities or tracing capabilities. They've had this long before Adobe or anybody else had it. So let's vectorize this. I'm just going to use Bezier real quick, and you'll see even though it has all that background and everything, it kind of skipped all the wall. It's literally you know, this is the finished product here. Let me just move that up on the plate real quick, just to kind of, and I'll zoom in on it and move it around. This is another thing I like about EnRoute. I can actually shift things around and zoom in and out and kind of see what's going on. And what Bryan was talking about was, and this did, by the way, this is like a perfect rendition. It's ready to go. But if I go up here, I've got something called Edit Points. And if I just click on the edge here, you can actually see the points that were actually used to create this. So you can see it did a pretty good job of distributing those anyway. But what's really cool is, and that was part of the auto cleanup, but what Bryan was even saying is we could use the editing tools in our software here for cleaning up. We've got a bunch of different editing tools in here for, you know, fitting curves and straight lines and all of that. I kind of also like the fact that I can actually select the entire afterwards. You just set a tolerance. The tolerance is kind of like, you know, how many points do I need really to make this curve? Probably only 3 or 4, not 30. So you can actually set a cleanup tolerance here, and I'm just going to leave it at this amount and click OK. And what you'll see on the screen is, folks, is that it looked at all the points in this graphic. There were 3,731 points, and after that auto cleanup, now there's only 2,600. So it got rid of almost, what, 1,000 points?
Yep.
And so what that did was it really didn't change the artwork. The artwork still looks good. And what it did was it literally went in here and started removing points. And you can see, especially over in these areas, before there was a lot of points in there, and it just took them all out because it didn't really need all those points for defining that area there. So like Bryan was mentioning, I mean, just think about what we just did, everybody. We took right off the internet, this little piece here. We vectorized it, we cleaned it up. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that, I would say. You
Right.
know? I'm
Yeah.
gonna open one of your files, Brian. And maybe we can talk about it a little bit. And this was one I think that you did. And I noticed when I was looking at your file here that you were designing at full scale. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So when I started this process, nowhere in my mind did I think that I would be creating designs and files that would never go to the table. So anytime I built a gate or sign or sometimes even metal art, I send a scale copy to the customer so they know exactly what it's going to look like. I could have, even the rise for your arches there are exactly the way that I would build the gate. And sometimes I would change the actual radius of those arches, and I can draw it that way, send it to the customer. They also can see the actual spacing of your balusters or pickets. Their own fence. This particular one had wings going into the property. So it's not just a tool for creating files to cut. It's a CAD-based software that you can draw anything. And I've used it a bunch for that. I've also cut some miniature versions of these gates. The balusters and pickets are pretty small if you're cutting a 20-inch gate, but I have done that before and made a model of a very big piece of iron. Yeah, that's a 16-foot gate, and everything that you see there, if you're the customer, that's exactly the way that I would build that gate. And I can use this particular drawing to give me the cut angles where the arches go into the frame. I know exactly where to start the first picket when you're doing your spacing. So it was a very, very valuable tool for my gate building.
I love it. So what we're saying is, and EnRoute here, you're building the actual geometry that you're going to add the job. You're showing the customer what's going to happen, and they're kind of fully informed on what's going to happen. And by the way, just so you know, that T inside there, this is what he used. I mean, look how small that thing is. And so he just vectorized that just like we did last time and placed it inside here, cleaned it up, and it's pretty much ready to go. And you guys that are watching, you saw me add these dimensions in here. That's all part of EnRoute, because EnRoute wasn't made just to create the geometry. I mean, obviously we can also add the tool paths in here. We can manage it if you can work with layers. You mentioned in our discussion, sometimes you have to bring in DXF files.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that's important? Because I know you probably have some pre-designed stuff, or what?
Yeah. So when I first started, Mark, before I knew how to really create my own stuff, there's some websites out there that allow you to buy a package that either has some DXF files that you can tie together and make a design, or the entire design. And so you're going to download those DXF files and then import those into the page that you're working on. And my brand new Shop Saber or Plasma Table customers that really aren't drawing their own designs yet, I recommend that you do that. You can buy designs individually. Some people, I've got a guy that books with me through Adendo, and we'll create a file together for some of the things that he needs. It's custom stuff that you can't go find anywhere, and instead of me just creating a file for him, he'll book some time and we'll create it together. But the DXF files are out there. You can buy them individually. You can buy monthly packages and with so many downloads a month. And that's a good way to start until you're, really drawing your own designs and creating your own stuff.
Sure. And to follow up on that, two things. One is with EnRoute here, you kind of see we have like a couple of different methods for importing DXF files, because probably if you guys have used software before, sometimes you try to open something and it's like format not support or whatever. It's because other people make things that are kind of strange. So we have a couple of different ways to create or to import DXF files, along with many other formats. If you're designing an Illustrator, we can bring that in. There's lots of different other programs out there, even 3D renderings and so forth, which might not apply here, but EnRoute covers a lot of ground, and it's pretty easy to do. And then, like he said, as one of the roles of our Adendo advisors, if anybody here wanted to use them, is that you can literally work with them, hire them individually, and if there's a file that needs to be built, they can assist you in that and in putting it all together. I'm gonna take this file here, and I know this is probably not what you would do, Bryan, but I'm just gonna go up here and add a little curve to it real quick. And I'm just gonna click OK. I want to point out a couple of things too to the audience here. This is actually your curved widths here, so you can actually define your width in there. There's also some things that I saw on some of that video that I was showing. Like for instance, the plasma beam there was like starting outside the design and then moving into the actual path. And I think that's probably important to keep the edges nice and clean. Is that true, Bryan?
That is absolutely true. And when we're doing this training, that's one of the things that we really focus on. There are lead ins and lead outs. EnRoute calls those entry exits. And there's some parameters that you can, some options there, arcs and square corners, and the amount of, or the distance that you want to lead in and out. But it leaves you with a really clean start-stop, where your torch is stopping and starting on each of the contours that it's cutting out. Very important and very easy to set up.
So I did that here, and I'd like to just zoom in here. Hopefully you can see this, but you can kind of see this little green area here. So the actual beam would start out here and kind of go in and run into the piece, and that just leaves it where it doesn't have some kind of anomaly right there if you went straight down into the path. So that's kind of cool. I thought we talked a little bit about ahead of time here, and I didn't do this correctly, but that's fine. I want to show this too. There's also an ability in the program here to just simulate things. This is actually showing you how that tool or how the plasma is going to be moving from piece to piece. So it kind of shows you the order in which these things are going to be cut. And I know that's important too, because you're probably cutting the interior or the inside of letters and so forth first before you do the outside. Is that right?
That's right. You've got some options. Usually I use the default, which is going to cut the small inside parts out first, but you can always simulate that just like Mark did. And we can change the order when I change the order, sometimes it's because maybe parts are too close together and the plate gets really hot in that area, even with the water table. So we'll move kind of all over the plate, and we don't overheat one section of the plate.
I did not know that. That's very, very interesting. This is what I did. I just turned on our tool ordering, so you can actually see how it expects to do this. And then you have a lot of different ways to set this. You can set it using one of these parameters. You can even go in here and click manual and just point to what you want to cut first, second, and third if you want to do that. So you can actually, humans are usually smarter than computers. So we can actually tell it what we want to cut first and second and third if we want to do that, which I think is kind of cool. There's also a thing in here called order by line, and this is kind of interesting. You can literally just draw a line in here and tell it that's how I want to cut, and it'll respect that as well. So a lot of different ways to set up a job so that it works correctly, and I think that's kind of cool. And when you're looking at some of the designs that Bryan's doing here, you can see they're pretty intricate. I mean, they're you're going to need to cut in a specific order in order to make this thing come out correctly. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty much a nightmare. So I appreciate that. This is just an example of the vectorizing he did. I just wanted to show that off. This is a little bit more in just the ordering. I kind of broke everything apart on this and to kind of give everybody an idea. You can actually see the numbers here, but like I said, what I like to do, and I think Bryan confirmed this for me, is I like to just run the simulation. And what that does is it lets you see how that plasma is going to be moving in here, which I think is good. Really lets you preview what's going to happen, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I think you told me in our interview a little earlier that besides designing at full scale and everything, sometimes you might cut a little mini example for them. Is that what you told me?
Yeah, that's true. I've cut some of these gates out. Like I said, so in the drawing, you've got a 1-inch wide picket there, and if you shrink that gate way down, you can get down to an 1/8 inch picket, and so there's some limitations there. But I've cut some models of gates and signs, and pictures worth 1,000 words. Sometimes folks just like to see it, hold it in their hand, and they know exactly what they're going to get, and it's nice to be able to draw to full scale.
Yeah. Now, you folks that are on right now, this is just sort of an introduction to Bryan and some of the services that we offer here at SAI. Kind of just a quick overview of EnRoute here, but I want to do some. We at Adendo, one of the things we do is we do monthly webinars on all of our products here at SAI, and of course EnRoute's one of them. And we also have online at Adendo access to e-courses, anything from, just the basics of EnRoute, where you're just learning how to do the geometry and some of the things that are just sort of seem simple, but you just got to learn them, all the way through the more complex parts of EnRoute. And we want to do some webinars where we maybe take a project and really create it. So I'm going to ask Bryan's help on that in the future, and we'll actually do a webinar where we spend maybe 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it takes, Bryan, and build something. And that way everybody can actually see the physical steps and what's literally needed.
Sure.
And
cool.
Go ahead.
No, that's a great idea. And like I said before, I've got customers that they don't want just a file created for them. They want to be a part of it, and it's good to see exactly how a file is created. And if you got questions or something you don't understand, that's time to figure all that out.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we're doing at SAI, and I know you folks want to know more about EnRoute and so forth. The 4 different ways we help people learn how to use the software. We've got people that are, let me just make sure I get this. We've got folks that we have an online community. So that's like a place where everybody can go and just kind of talk it over amongst other users, kind of like a Facebook page, but a lot better, a lot more private. You don't get all the ads and hassles that you do at Facebook. We have e-courses, as we mentioned. There's all kinds of courses. We've got we have people like Bryan and others that if you want, they can come to your site and literally spend time in your shop helping you. And then we also have virtual training, which is what I want to talk about, because that allows folks like Bryan who are remote to get with you one-on-one and actually go over some of the projects that you might want to be doing. So there's a lot of different ways that we can help you with EnRoute and with using it with your plasma. And if you're just thinking about, even if you're just thinking about getting into the fabrication plasma area there, talk it over with Bryan. Maybe he has some suggestions for you. That's perfectly fine. But we want you to come back and spend some time with Bryan as well. So after we finish our webinar today, what's going to happen is if you'll keep your browser open, it's just going to redirect you to Bryan's consulting page there at Adendo, and there'll be a chat button up at the top. And if you have a specific question or maybe a specific need, just click on that, and Mark Stevens, who's on here, will get with you and make sure we hook you up with Bryan if needed. Bryan, is there anything else you'd like to talk about regarding EnRoute or your services?
I just want to do a quick overview. Mark, you went over a lot of good stuff, but I want to mention a few other things that EnRoute will do for you.
Sure.
It's not just metal art signs and gates. Parts are a big part of that too. EnRoute gives you a lot of options for drawing your own parts, and there are also some wizards where you can make gussets, flanges, lifting eyes, and I use all of those. There's some very handy wizards. They're tools for drawing polygons and stars. You select the option that you want, the size and radius and all that stuff. There are a ton of ways to create parts to send to your burn table. Don't think that it's vectorized only, because you'll be drawing a lot of your own parts.
Very, very true. And what I just did here was just a really quick, part. And that's what he was talking about. There's we have these little wizards in here that are really
flange,
cool.
And you can you set the perimeter, the interior, the bolt pattern, number of bolt holes, size of the bolt holes. So it does a lot of the work for you. Makes life easy.
Yeah, and I even neglected to talk about that in this one here. I was going to show this. I mean, even something as simple as, adding a drill point, right? Like, if you want to hang this on a wall or putting something like that on there, we've got drill points, slots, all kinds of things that allow you to just literally come in and define the size of the point. I can click on graphic in this case and just say, I want a drill point there, and another one here, and another one here, or something like that. And just that easily, I've added a drill point in there. So it's one of those softwares that, as Bryan mentioned, it's not just vectorizing, it's literally creating geometry, working with unique, even lettering, all kinds of different options. And if you want, by the way, if you want a nice tour of EnRoute, we've got some nice YouTube videos that you can look at, and we'd be happy to take you through some of those as well. But Bryan, I want to thank you for your time today.
Sure.
I know we did a lot of stuff, and I know folks are probably interested in some of these things and how you did them. So. I appreciate your time today and the interview. And folks, I want to thank you for signing up. Stay tuned for some really good webinars coming up. Now that we have your interest, we'll let you know. We'll make sure that you're informed about our next webinar, where we'll go through and create one of these files here with Bryan or something like that. What do you think?
Very good. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Awesome. Get that burn table ordered, and get the EnRoute software, and we'll be well on our way.
Awesome. Awesome. Mark, thank you for joining me. Thank you, Jake and Ryan. Thank you, Brian, and everyone on board here. We really appreciated your half an hour of time here, and we will see you in the next one that we'll do probably in August is my guess, so we can set it all up and get it right. And I think we'll go from there. So anyway, thank you all from SAI and really appreciate you attending today. We appreciate it very, very much. Take care, everyone.